You're listening to the Murder Speaks podcast, the show that spills the tea about true crime. Here's your host, Wendy Hinbest.
Hey, welcome back. So today's real crime story is about 24-year-olds Britney, Cosby, and Crystal Jackson from Houston, Texas. Their bodies were discovered outside a Fisher's Cove store in Port Bolivar the morning of March 7th, 2014.
I noticed that one was laying on her back and she had what was a severe gunshot wound to the right temple, with an exit wound coming out from behind her left ear. The other was laying on her stomach with a sheet wrapped around the head. We saw that her eyes were swollen and bruised, and it was immediate that she'd been a victim of some kind of blunt force trauma. She'd received one blow to her forehead area on the right side that was hard enough to break her neck. Her skull was actually broken open. She was not only hit once in the forehead, but 4 extra times in the back of the head. It was definitely our feeling that it was overkill.
They were found on the ground by a dumpster. The police find a shutter with blood spatter at the scene. They also find a piece of paper with a print on it. The lack of blood at the scene tells police that the crime took place somewhere else, and the bodies were just dumped there. The police also find an envelope with the name Britney Cosby on it, with an address. So the police went to the address. They meet Britney's great-grandmother. Apparently, she had been missing for a couple of days. She's been living with her great-grandmother. Suddenly, Britney's father, James Larry Cosby, shows up, and the police tell him his daughter is dead. He becomes very emotional. He tells police that Crystal was Britney's girlfriend, and Crystal had a daughter. He tells police that Britney and Crystal left the house the morning of March 6th and never came back. The police go to Crystal's house and talk to her parents. The father did not like the fact that his daughter was gay. He's a preacher and did not approve of the relationship, but the mother accepted it. Crystal's mother tells police that Crystal's father was going to go to the Cosby residence with a gun, but he never ended up going. Crystal's father becomes a suspect. After Crystal had the baby's father wasn't really involved. The police go and talk to the baby father. He tells police that he ran into Crystal once, a while ago, but he had nothing to do with the murders. Britney and Crystal owned a Kia Sorento SUV. The police view the surveillance camera at the convenience store close to Britney's house, and it shows Britney and Crystal's car leaving the residence around 7:30 that morning. However, it's hard to see who's driving the vehicle. The police know that the only way to get to Port Bolivar is by the ferry, so the police view the video surveillance at the ferry in Galveston, Texas. A man gets out of the car, and he's tall and slender. The police discover that it wasn't Crystal's father's gun that killed them, so Crystal's father is no longer a suspect. The police talk to the security guard who was working the night the girl's car went on the ferry. He tells police that the guy was about 5'11", well-groomed, and the driver seemed nervous and unfamiliar with the car he was driving. He also had a little bit of a mustache and seemed to be in his late 20s, early 30s. The police get a composite sketch of the driver, but nobody seemed to recognize him. The police talk to the caretaker at the Cosby home. She takes care of Britney's great-grandmother. They take her outside the carport, and she tells police that she has never seen it that clean before. One of the police officers move the bricks and find blood, so the police prepare a search warrant to go into the house. The police find a print on a piece of paper that belongs to James Larry Cosby, Britney's father. Hair and fiber on the shutter match Crystal. The police noticed that on the front of Britney's house there was a missing shutter that looks exactly like the one found at the scene with bloodstains. They find blood spatter all over James Larry Cosby's bedroom, and the print on the piece of paper found belongs to James Larry Cosby. The girls' bodies were found wrapped in James Larry Cosby's bedsheets. March 12, 2014 at 7:30 p.m., the detectives approach James Larry Cosby, and James goes to the station.
Jay, since we're down here at this office, I have to do, and I do this to everybody, I read what's called your advisory rights. Are you familiar with what that is? Yeah, Miranda rights.
I've been watching enough TV shows to know that means when say Miranda right, that means you under arrest.
Can you explain to me how your print wound up over there where those bodies were recovered in Fort Ballin?
My print was on what?
Tell me what's your thoughts?
I can't make sense of that.
Were you aware that we were back in the house today?
Today?
Mm-hmm. This crime somehow originated at that house. So what can you tell us about the house?
Nothing.
You've been in that room, sleeping in that room, with your daughter's blood on the carpet.
I didn't know that it was like that. You see,
You can't miss it.
I ain't seen no stains. I would see some stains. I would see some.
She had the supreme beat out of her. You explain that. You explain it. That's your daughter's head smashed in. Thrown away like a garbage. That's your daughter. That's your daughter's brains coming out of this hole in her head. And James, you did it. And you did it. What else we found on the scene? James Larry Cosby Jr.'s sheets wrapped around his daughter's head. And you expect us to believe that James Larry Cosby Jr. don't know?
The police had a theory. James killed his daughter. Crystal witnessed it, and he killed her too. James never tells the police what really happened, but they have enough evidence to arrest him. He pretended to be sad when they told him that his daughter was dead. Britney's aunt is upset that her own brother did this. He beat his daughter to death and shot Crystal. Britney's mother says that Britney's father was angry that she was gay. Turns out James Larry Cosby is a registered sex offender, and he moved in that home with Britney and the great-grandmother in October after being released from prison. After he killed both girls, he put their bodies in their car and drove to Port Bolivar and dumped their bodies. He drove the car to a strip club and left it in the parking lot, and his girlfriend picked him up. August 2016, James stands trial for capital murder, and he gets life in prison without parole. I cannot believe he did this to his own daughter. He beat her to death, beat her so bad that he broke her neck. His own daughter. Unbelievable. I hope he rots in jail. Thank you so much for listening. If you like it, please share it. Sharing is caring. And if you are a true crime addict like me, check out my store, crystalkiss.com. That's Crystal with a K, for some murder merch. I sell t-shirts, hoodies, leggings, and tank tops for the summer. Free shipping on everything in my store. Check it out. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for listening. Bye.